My name is Reese Calder, 31 years old. But we're family. That's the line they use when they want you to forget who paid for what, who carried what, who bled quietly so everyone else could stay comfortable. My sister always expects something expensive from me. Jewelry, designer crap, cash if she's really lazy about pretending. This year, I gave her something better. Or at least I thought I did. It was the family gift exchange, the one my mom insists on doing every year, like it's a sacred ritual. The house smelled like cinnamon and old carpet. Fake garland sagged on the banister, still dusty from last year. The living room was crowded and warm in that suffocating way. Too many bodies, too much laughter that doesn't reach anyone's eyes, too much history packed into one space like it had nowhere else to go. My parents were in their usual places, my dad at the end of the couch like a judge, my mom hovering near the kitchen, pretending she was hosting, even though half the food had been paid for by me. Grandma Joyce sat on the stairs with her hands folded like she was watching a play. Grandma Susan sat in the armchair by the window, quiet but alert, eyes sharp, even when her face looked soft. And Megan, my sister, was in the center of it all, legs crossed, phone in hand, acting like she wasn't already bored. Megan has always been the type to expect life to meet her where she stands. She's not evil. She's just been rewarded for helplessness for so long that she thinks it's a skill. She cries at the right moments. She says, "I'm stressed," in a voice that makes my mother panic. She has this talent for making her problems feel like emergencies that everyone else should pay to solve. For the past few years, I've been the emergency fund for this family. Whether they admit it or not, they've gotten comfortable with the idea that if something goes wrong, Reese will fix it. Megan's tuition? Fixed. Groceries when Dad's freelance work dried up? Fixed. New washer, new fridge, plane tickets, car repairs. Just until next month, rent. Fixed, fixed, fixed. And every time I fixed something, they acted like it was normal, like I was just doing my part, like I should be grateful for the privilege of being useful. I didn't realize how bad it had gotten until this Christmas. When it was my turn to give gifts, everyone leaned in a little. Megan's eyes flicked toward my hands, searching for a bag, a box, a brand name. My mom's smile tightened in anticipation like she was already proud of whatever sacrifice I'd made. I stood up and walked over to Megan with a plain white envelope. No wrapping, no ribbon, just her name in black ink. She looked confused, then suspicious, like I'd handed her a bill. "What is this?" she asked, loud enough for the room to quiet. I sat back down without answering. My heart was steady, which surprised me. I'd spent nights thinking about this envelope. I'd spent weeks deciding whether this was kindness or stupidity. I'd told myself it wasn't about being thanked. It was about doing the right thing. Megan opened it slowly, like she expected a prank. She pulled out the letter and read it once, then again, slower. The room stayed quiet, the kind of quiet that makes you hear the heater kick on. The letter was simple, one paragraph. I explained how I found out she was $300 short on tuition, how she'd already missed her first payment for spring semester, and how the financial office had put her account on hold. I wrote that I'd paid the full balance so she could graduate on time. I included the transaction confirmation and the university receipt. Megan finished reading and looked up. For a second, just a second, I thought she might cry, might whisper thank you, might finally see me as more than a wallet. Then she laughed. Not a nervous laugh, not a grateful laugh, an ugly mocking laugh that made my skin tighten. She held up the letter like it was a joke and said, "She thinks money can make up for the fact that we don't need her." The room erupted. My dad actually clapped. My mom covered her mouth, eyes watering with laughter. Even Grandma Susan let out a small snort like Megan had just won the round. Grandma Joyce's lips pressed together, but she stayed quiet, watching. I didn't say a word. I just stared at all of them. Then I leaned forward, reached out, and calmly took the letter back from Megan's hands. Her smile faltered. "What are you—" I said very quietly. "I guess you'll have some free time next spring." The laughter stopped like someone yanked the cord. Megan froze. My dad's face shifted like the rug had been pulled out from under him. My mom whispered something I didn't hear. Grandma Susan's eyes sharpened. Grandma Joyce sat up straighter, because they understood what I meant. If I hadn't paid her tuition, she wouldn't be graduating on time. She'd be dropped, delayed, forced to take time off. The envelope wasn't just a gift anymore. It was leverage they'd laughed at, until it disappeared. 15 minutes later, I walked past the hallway on my way to the front door. Megan was sitting on the floor crying, real tears now. My mom knelt beside her trying to comfort her. My dad paced like a man searching for someone else to blame. Both grandmothers sat on the stairs watching like they couldn't decide if this was drama or tragedy. I opened the front door. My dad stepped in front of it. "Where do you think you're going?" he said. "I'm leaving," I replied. "Not after that little performance," he snapped. "You ruined Christmas." My mom nodded behind him like he was reciting scripture. Megan called out through sniffles, "You're seriously just leaving?" I looked at all of them. The hallway, the staircase, the garland, the dust, the years of being useful. Then I closed the door. I took off my coat. I walked back to the table and sat down. Everyone followed like gravity pulled them. I said, "Here's how it's going to be now." Nobody moved. My sister was still red-faced, trying to wipe tears without losing pride. My mom looked like she couldn't decide whether to cry or slap me. My dad looked like he was winding up for one of his fake righteous monologues, but I wasn't giving him the chance. I stayed seated, calm, like I wasn't the one who just flipped the entire room upside down. "For the past few years," I said, "I've been the emergency fund for this family. Whether you admit it or not, you've all gotten comfortable with the idea that if something goes wrong, Reese will fix it." No one argued, just blank stares. "That ends tonight." The words sat in the air like smoke. Then I added, "And since we're all being honest, you two owe me $3,000. I loaned it last spring when you said you hit a rough patch. You promised you'd pay it back in a few months." My dad immediately cut in. "We said we would, and we will." I nodded. "Good. I'd like to see that happen. But I'll be honest, I've already written it off in my head." My mom flinched like that was the real insult. Like the thought of me not trusting them with money hurt more than what they'd just done. My dad's jaw tightened. "So you think we're thieves now?" "No," I said. "I think you're comfortable. Comfortable owing me things. Comfortable assuming I'll always be around to keep the lights on." Then I looked at Megan. "And you. If you want to finish school, you'll get a job. Or maybe mom and dad will help this time. You know, like parents usually do." Megan looked at my mom, then at my dad. No one volunteered. My mom finally said, "This isn't how family works, Reese. We don't threaten each other." I smiled a little. "That's funny because 5 minutes ago you laughed at me in front of both of your mothers and called me selfish when I tried to help." That's when Grandma Joyce, quiet until now, spoke up. She looked straight at my mom and said, "She's right. I saw how you all laughed. And don't think I forgot how you borrowed money from me and never paid it back either." My mom's face went white. Then Grandma Susan chimed in, voice dry. "I always thought you spoiled Megan too much. And now look, she bit the hand that fed her and cried when it stopped." The ground shifted. My dad stood up more cautiously this time. "So what? You're just done with us now?" "No," I said. "I'm just done being used." He called me selfish. I shrugged. If standing up for myself makes me selfish, then yeah, I guess I am. But if you don't like these new terms, you can go ahead and figure things out on your own. And when you need help next time, don't call me. Megan finally said she'd get a job. She sounded miserable about it, like the idea of working retail was beneath her. My mom mumbled something about trying to help. My dad didn't say anything. I stood up, walked to the kitchen, and poured myself a drink. No one followed. No one spoke. But I knew this wasn't over. Not by a long shot. The house went quiet after that night. But it wasn't the kind of quiet that means peace. It was the kind that means everyone is recalculating. Like they were sitting behind their own eyes, replaying the moment the room flipped, trying to figure out how to turn it back. I didn't hear from them for days. No apology, no explanation, just silence. Like they were hoping if they ignored the fallout long enough, I'd crawl back and pretend it never happened. The first message came from my mom. 5 words. "I hope you're proud of yourself." That was it. Not a question. Not even a passive-aggressive essay like she usually sends. Just a jab thrown from a distance so she wouldn't have to see my face when it landed. I didn't answer. Megan went completely dark. My dad, the king of pretending nothing's wrong, stayed on brand and didn't acknowledge me at all. They must have thought this was salvageable, that I'd calm down, realize I was harsh, and show up at the next birthday dinner with my wallet open like usual. They weren't ready for a version of me that didn't need them and didn't want to be needed. So I started slow. They were still on my phone plan. My mom, my dad, and yes, Megan too, because she'd whined about how unfair her bill was during finals last year, and I'd folded. I logged into my account and canceled every line except mine. No warning, no message. Just gone. That night, my mom texted me from my dad's number. "Our phones just stopped working. Is there an outage?" I stared at it for a second, then set the phone down. I didn't respond. The next cut was the shared accounts. The Costco membership I'd added them to when times got tight. The Amazon Prime account under my name. The The streaming services, the little conveniences they treated like air, always there, always free. I removed their access quietly, one by one, like closing doors in a hallway. 3 days later, my dad left a voicemail. "Hey," he said, voice careful. "Tried to pick up a few things, and the card didn't go through. Thought maybe there was a mistake." There wasn't. I still paid their January mortgage. Not because I felt guilty, because I wanted to see how long they'd pretend nothing happened. The payment went through, and the silence stayed. No, thank you. No check-in. No acknowledgement that the person they laughed at was still the person keeping their roof over their heads. That silence told me everything. So February came, and I cut the grocery money. For years, my mom would text me her list, and I'd order Instacart to their house every week like clockwork. Bread, milk, chicken, her expensive creamer, Megan's healthy snacks, my dad's brand name coffee. This time I didn't place the order. A week passed. Then I got a message. "Hey, sweetie," my mom wrote. "Just checking in. Things have been a little rough lately. If you happen to have anything extra for food this week, we'd really appreciate it." I stared at it, then replied with 2 words. "Megan says hi." 3 dots appeared. Vanished. No reply. Uncle Tony messaged next, out of nowhere. Said they were throwing Megan a birthday dinner and asked if I could chip in. Called it a family thing. I sent him a screenshot of Megan's Instagram post from December, her holding a designer purse in front of a mirror with a caption about treating herself. No words. He left me on red. By mid-February, Megan finally texted. First a short one. "Mom said you've been acting weird. You okay?" Then a longer one. "Look, I know you're upset, but this has gotten out of hand. I miss you. Let's talk." I didn't answer either. Then came the voice message. Her voice soft and careful, like she was trying on a personality. "I don't want things to spiral," she said. "Family is family, and we should rise above the drama." Drama. Like my gift wasn't tuition, and her response wasn't humiliation. I blocked her. That's when my mom went straight back to practical asks. She texted about her car making a weird noise. Could I help with repairs? Left on red. Then my dad called. I almost didn't pick up, but something told me I should. He started calm. "I want to visit, talk things through, no yelling." I told him no. The pause after that was telling. Then the real reason came out. "So you're just going to let the house go?" he said quietly. I blinked. "What?" "The mortgage," he said, voice tight. "You're just going to stop paying it?" There it was. Not "we miss you," not "we're sorry," not "your sister was wrong." Just fear that the money faucet had been turned off. "Yes," I said simply. He didn't speak. I hung up. 3 days later, Megan posted a passive-aggressive quote. "Cutting people off doesn't make you heartless. It makes you honest." I almost laughed. But then they crossed another line. By March, it got quiet again. No more calls, no more texts, just silence. Heavy, calculated silence. They were waiting for me to cave. I could feel it. I'd stopped everything except the mortgage. 1 payment a month, like a test. And every time it went through, they acted like nothing had happened. No gratitude, no acknowledgement. Just entitlement. My cousin Angela told me Megan had been telling people I was going through something, that I snapped, that I needed space. Space. They wanted me to look unstable so they could look like victims. Then came Easter. Kay, my daughter, was sitting on the porch with me painting little wooden eggs when her iPad pinged. She rarely gets messages. Her contacts were limited. Me, her teacher, 2 cousins. I glanced at the screen. A video from my mom. I clicked it. It was my mom's living room, decorated like a magazine. Megan's kids holding giant Easter baskets, branded toys, gift cards, cash. My mom's voice behind the camera. "This is what love looks like," she said. Then one of the kids asked, "Are we going to see Aunt Reese?" And my mom replied clear as day, "No, not this year. Her mommy's being difficult again." Kay watched the whole thing. She didn't say a word. She stood up, walked inside, and shut the door quietly behind her. That snapped something in me. It wasn't just about money anymore. They were using my child, trying to make her feel excluded, less than. I opened my laptop, logged into the mortgage account, clicked the recurring payment, and hit cancel. No warning, no explanation. Let them figure it out when it bounced. Then I called a locksmith and changed the locks on my house. Not because I expected them to break in, because I'd learned that people who feel entitled to your money eventually feel entitled to your space. By April, they escalated. My mom showed up at Kay's school. She was still listed as an emergency contact from years ago. She didn't try to take Kay, but she left a gift bag at the front office, a basket with a doll, candy, and a card. The card said, "Grandma loves you always, no matter what Mommy says." I lost it. I called the school, removed her from every list, and told them she wasn't allowed near my daughter again. That night, I blocked my mom everywhere. Facebook, phone, email. No more slow cuts. Now it was complete. I thought that would be the end. It wasn't, because people like them don't disappear quietly. They change tactics. And they were about to get much darker. I thought the silence meant they were finally adjusting. I was wrong. The quiet didn't feel peaceful. It felt strategic, like the calm before someone decides what version of the story they're going to tell about you. I found out how they were telling it when Grandma Joyce called. She didn't ask how I was. She never wastes time with small talk when something matters. She just said, "We're having lunch. I'll pick you up." She arrived exactly on time, engine still ticking when I got in. Her hands gripped the steering wheel a little tighter than usual, and I could tell she'd already decided what she was going to say. We sat at a diner near my apartment, the kind of place with cracked vinyl booths and coffee that tastes like it's been there since dawn. As soon as we ordered, she leaned forward. "Your parents are in trouble," she said, "and they don't want you to know how bad it is." I didn't react, I just listened. Apparently, everything had started unraveling fast once the money stopped. My mom was behind on 2 credit cards. My dad's freelance work had dried up again, and the contacts he'd been bragging about never turned into real income. Megan's school had put a financial hold on her account. She hadn't told anyone she was close to being dropped. "They're covering it with confidence," Joyce said. "Like always, acting like they've got a plan. They don't." She took a sip of her coffee, then looked at me sharply. "And your mother's telling people you're not doing well." I blinked. "What?" "She's saying you snapped under pressure," Joyce continued. "That maybe you need time off, therapy, a reset. She's painting you as the unstable one." I laughed out loud, sharp and humorless. "She'd rather tell people I'm broken than admit she depended on me to raise her second kid," I said. Joyce didn't laugh. She looked tired. "They won't apologize," she said quietly. "Not because they don't feel guilty, but because they don't want to owe you that too." That sentence stuck with me all day. When I got home, there were 3 unread messages from Megan. The first just said, "Hey." The second, "Can we talk?" The third, "I got a job at Lark. It's retail, but it's something." Lark was that weird off-brand fashion store at the edge of the mall, the one where everything's always on sale because no one wants to pay full price for a rhinestone hoodie. I knew she was miserable. I didn't respond. 3 days later, my mom texted again. "We're proud of you for being responsible. Hope you can forgive us soon." Forgiveness. Like it was a favor she was offering herself. I didn't answer. Then my dad sent something strange. A photo. It was our dinner table set for 5, 1 chair empty. Mine. The caption read, "You belong here." I stared at it longer than I should have. Suddenly, they wanted to play the emotional card. The same people who laughed when I tried to help were now acting like I'd abandoned a sinking ship, like I owed them loyalty just because we share a last name. Then came the voicemail. Megan's voice again, but different this time. Less performative, more desperate. She said she couldn't make rent, that her job barely covered gas, that she didn't know how she was supposed to focus on school while juggling everything. Then she said something I didn't expect. "I miss how things used to be." I listened to it twice. Yeah, I miss how things used to be too. Back when she said thank you. Back when my parents remembered who paid for the roof over their heads. But those days were gone, and none of them knew yet how deep this was going to cut. The voicemail sat in my inbox for 3 days. I didn't delete it, didn't respond, just let it exist. Then my mom showed up at my door. She didn't call first. She buzzed the building like she was delivering a package. I almost didn't open it, but curiosity got the better of me. She looked smaller in person. Not physically, emotionally. Like the situation had chipped away at her confidence, but she still had that expression, like she was about to say something wise and manipulative. She stepped inside without asking. "We need to talk," she said. "Talk," I replied, sitting down. She launched into it immediately. Megan was drowning. The job wasn't enough. She was failing classes. The financial office wouldn't let her register for finals without payment. She talked fast, like she could outrun my boundaries if she didn't stop. She kept steering it back to family, to how proud they were of me, to how much they loved me. I let her talk. Then I told her the price. "You want help?" I said calmly. "Fine. But I'm not paying for anyone else's mistakes anymore. You and Dad are her parents, not me." She opened her mouth. I didn't let her speak. "You want Megan to graduate? Then you figure it out. Sell something. Cancel your weekends. Skip your anniversary dinner. Get creative." She started to say something about how hard things were. I cut in. "And the $3,000 you owe me. I want it by the end of the year." Her face dropped like I'd slapped her. "I know you won't have it," I added, "but I'm not pretending anymore. Every time you dodge it, I'll remember exactly what this family thinks I'm worth. She started to cry, said it wasn't fair, that I was punishing everyone for one moment of laughter. No, I said. I'm responding to a decade of pretending your financial problems were my responsibility. She left without another word. A week later, Megan called. Not text, not voicemail. She actually called. She said she understood I didn't expect help, that she just wanted me to know she'd gotten a second job tutoring kids after school, that she was talking to financial aid. I'm not asking for money, she said quickly. I want to earn the right to be your sister again. I didn't say yes. I didn't say no. I said, we'll see. Then something strange happened. Grandma Joyce invited me over. When I got there, she was sitting in her living room with a smile that looked way too satisfied. She handed me a folder. Inside were printouts, screenshots, old text messages, receipts, emails, everything. Every loan, every just this once, every plane ticket, every repair. 5 years of proof. What is this? I asked. Evidence, she said, in case they try to rewrite history. Then she dropped the real twist. Grandma Susan's updating her will. I froze. She's reducing what goes to your parents, Joyce continued, increasing your portion. I didn't ask for that, I said. I know, Joyce replied. That's why it's happening. She leaned back and folded her hands. We're tired of watching you be used. If they won't change, we will. It wasn't revenge. It wasn't victory. It was justice. And it was just getting started. Spring came early that year, like the world was tired of winter too. The air smelled like wet pavement and thawed dirt, and people started pretending that nothing had happened. Like the year hadn't opened with my family cracking apart at the seams. But I remembered. I remembered every laugh, every silence, every time I was expected to fix what I didn't break. Megan scraped through the semester. She didn't tell me herself. Grandma Joyce did. Passed all her classes. Picked up an unpaid internship. Commute was brutal. 90 minutes each way. She was exhausted, but she was showing up. That mattered. I saw her once without planning to, outside a bus stop near my place. She stood there half asleep, hair pulled back, holding a plastic container like it was her lifeline. Cheap flats. No makeup. No performance. She didn't see me. Or maybe she did and chose not to. Either way, I watched her board the bus quietly, and for the first time, I felt something loosen in my chest. She was learning. Not fast, not gracefully, but she was learning. My parents didn't. The $3,000 they owed me became a ghost. They talked around it like it was a word you weren't supposed to say out loud. We're working on it. We haven't forgotten. Things are tight. No dates, no numbers, no accountability. I could have pressed harder. I didn't. I wanted to see how long they'd pretend. Instead, my dad started sending links, articles he thought I'd like, videos about resilience, as if shared content could rebuild trust. My mom tried nostalgia, old photos, recipes I used to like, messages like, "Those were good times, weren't they?" It was currency, trying to rebuild access without paying for damage. I didn't bite. The card Megan gave me, the apology written on plain cardstock, I kept it. It sat in the same drawer as my passport and car title. Not something I revisited often, but not something I threw away either. It wasn't about making things even. It was about her seeing the wreckage she helped cause. And she had. Then Grandma Susan followed through. Joyce called one afternoon, voice low but satisfied. She finalized the changes, she said. Your mother found out. I didn't need to ask how that went. Apparently, Joyce continued, your mom cornered Susan at a family dinner and tried to guilt her. Asked why she'd cut her own daughter out. I closed my eyes. And Susan said? Joyce smiled through the phone. I could hear it. Because Reese was there when you weren't. My mom called that night. She didn't mention the will directly. She never does anything directly. She danced around it, talking about how she hoped I didn't think they'd been ungrateful. You still haven't paid me back, I said. Silence. Then, carefully, like she'd rehearsed it, we will soon. She said it the way people say someday. That was 3 months ago. I haven't seen a dime. We talk now, sometimes. Birthdays, holidays, safe topics. I'm polite, cordial. But there's a distance they can't cross anymore. Megan's different. She doesn't treat me like the solution anymore. She doesn't ask. She doesn't hint. She talks about work, about how tired she is, about how weird it feels to earn everything herself. That's why I've started replying to her messages again. Not fully, not warmly, but honestly, my parents still act like things will go back to normal eventually. They won't, because this version of me, the one they created the night they laughed, isn't the one who absorbs chaos for love. Not anymore. Then came the dinner. Grandma Susan invited everyone. Small gathering. No excuses. Joyce told me, "You should come, it's time." I almost said no. Everything in me was ready to burn the last bridge and let them sit with the consequences. But the way she said it made me realize something. This wasn't about peace. It was about power. So I went. Susan's house looked the same. Same wreath, same candles, same chairs. My mom opened the door, hesitated, then stepped aside. My dad sat at the table like he didn't remember anything. Megan stared into her water glass. Dinner was stiff. Joyce tried small talk. No one cared. Then Susan turned to Megan. "How's work?" Megan looked up. "Tiring," she said, then quieter. "But I'm doing it." She glanced at me once. Not asking, just acknowledging. My mom spoke next, careful. Said maybe they laughed because they didn't know how to handle being called out. Used words like reflecting and moving forward. She didn't say sorry. My dad added, "We know we owe you. We're figuring it out." I stayed quiet. Then Susan leaned forward. "This is your moment to start over," she said to my parents. "And if you screw it up, don't expect Joyce or me to protect you." They nodded like kids being scolded. When I put on my coat, Megan handed me an envelope. "It's not money," she said quickly. Inside was a card. Plain. Handwritten. "I know I messed it up. I said things I can't take back. You gave me more than I deserved and I threw it in your face. I'm not asking for help. I just want to earn the right to be your sister again. I'm sorry." No signature. Just her. I didn't say anything. I left. We weren't healed. But the hierarchy had changed. I wasn't their safety net anymore. I was their reminder. And for the first time in my life, that felt like enough. Spring rolled into summer quietly, like it didn't want to interrupt anything. The world kept moving, even though my family was still stuck trying to understand that I wasn't going to move backward with them. Life without being the safety net was strange at first. Too quiet. Too light. I'd spent so many years bracing myself for the next request, the next emergency, the next guilt-laced phone call, that when none came, my body didn't quite know what to do with the peace. I slept better. That was the first thing I noticed. No more waking up with my jaw clenched, replaying conversations in my head. No more checking my phone before bed, wondering who needed saving next. Silence stopped feeling like abandonment and started feeling like space. Megan kept working. Joyce updated me occasionally, not because I asked, but because she wanted me to know the effort was real. Megan didn't quit, didn't complain publicly, didn't post sad quotes online. She showed up, tired and underpaid, and kept going. My parents, on the other hand, stayed exactly the same. They never paid me back. Not the $3,000, not even $100 as a gesture. It became the thing no one said out loud, like if they didn't name it, it wouldn't exist. They invited me to dinner once in June. I declined. No explanation. Just, "I'm busy," my mom replied with a thumbs up emoji. That told me everything. What surprised me was how quickly people stopped asking questions once I stopped explaining myself. Extended family adjusted. Friends stopped expecting drama. Even my coworkers commented that I seemed calmer, lighter. I was, because for the first time, my life belonged to me. Megan texted one night in July, not asking for anything. Just, "I passed my internship review. They might keep me on." I stared at the message for a long moment. Then I replied, "Good, you earned it." There was a pause, then a heart emoji. That was enough. I didn't need grand gestures. I didn't need apologies performed in front of witnesses. I needed changed behavior. And she was changing, slowly. My parents weren't. They still told people their version of the story, that I'd become distant, that I was hard to reach, that I was busy with work and didn't have time for family. They never said we relied on her too much. They never said we laughed when she tried to help. They never said we lost her because we treated her like a resource instead of a person. That truth would cost them too much. So they avoided it. I stopped expecting them to catch up. Instead, I focused on what came next. I took a weekend trip by myself. Nothing fancy, just a cabin and a book and silence. I sat on the porch one morning, coffee cooling in my hands, and realized I wasn't waiting for anyone to call. I didn't miss the chaos. I missed the idea of family I thought I had. And that grief was quieter, easier to carry. In August, Grandma Susan called. She asked if I'd come over for tea. When I arrived, she was already seated, papers neatly stacked beside her. She didn't talk about money. She talked about legacy, about how people confuse love with indulgence, about how enabling looks like kindness until it rots everyone involved, about how she wished she'd stepped in sooner. "I watched you carry everyone," she said, and I told myself it wasn't my place. She paused. I was wrong. I didn't argue. She reached across the table and squeezed my hand. You're doing well, she said. Not because you cut them off, because you stopped letting them define you. That stayed with me. By fall, the family dynamic had settled into something new. My parents existed on the edge of my life, not enemies, not allies, just people I was related to. Megan existed somewhere closer, not trusted fully, not forgiven completely, but trying. And that mattered. One afternoon in October, she asked if we could get coffee. Just coffee. No guilt, no tears. I agreed. We sat across from each other, sunlight cutting through the cafe window. She looked different, not polished, not defensive, just tired and honest. I don't expect things to go back, she said. I don't want them to. I just didn't realize how much you were carrying. I nodded. I should have said thank you, she added, a long time ago. You should have, I said calmly. She swallowed. I'm saying it now. We didn't hug. We didn't cry. We finished our drinks and left. And that was enough for that day. My parents never acknowledged the shift. They kept pretending time would smooth it over. It didn't. Time just clarified things. The last message my dad sent me came in December. It said, "We're hosting Christmas. It'd be nice if you came." I stared at it, then typed, "I have plans." I did. They just didn't include pretending anymore. Christmas morning was quiet, coffee, music, no pressure. I thought about the girl I used to be, the one who thought love meant endurance, who thought being needed was the same as being valued. I wished I could tell her something. That love doesn't laugh when you give. That family doesn't punish boundaries. That silence can be mercy. I don't regret what I did. I regret how long it took me to do it. Because the moment I stopped being useful, I finally became free.